Rowe with Foothills Chapel and Banquet Room, and thanks so much for watching this. A big question, the first question after the big question is, where are we going to get married? Where will the wedding be? Where will the reception be? I'd like to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of different kinds of locations for you. As a minister, I perform weddings for people of all faiths, all over the world actually, and all over Colorado certainly. So I'm happy to perform a wedding in the location that is good for you. These are just some ideas to help you go through the process of deciding what is best for you. You can decide for the ceremony to go to either your church, and if you have a church, I recommend that if that size is good for you. If the church has policies that work, that it's not too big, not too small, if it's a beautiful church that looks nice for you. Here at Foothills Chapel, you're welcome to bring your own minister, and I encourage that because that way you can still have your pastoral care being taken care of, but the chapel itself is just so beautiful. And so think about that as a possibility, finding out if the minister you choose will come here to Foothills Chapel or other locations as well. So that's one thing to kind of think about there. For the ceremony, you can also choose not only the church, but also a wedding chapel, like I said. What's so beautiful about this is that there's a feeling of spirit, and there's a precious, very beautiful and special feeling about this. It's set up for a ceremony and for the very, very special quality that ceremonies have. The last thing you want is a reception facility where they have white plastic chairs in the back and they throw them up for you, and then you just stand in the back somewhere and have your wedding. And then they get to the real part, which is the food and the reception. They specialize in receptions. If they haven't gone out of their way to make sure that the wedding ceremony is very beautiful as well, that might be something to consider. If you don't want a religious or spiritual backdrop for your wedding, you can just have everything at a reception facility, of course. Will this be the location of your dreams? What did you dream of when you first thought about getting married? Maybe when you were even a little child. You may have thought about a certain kind of place. Try to be true to that original dream, and I think you'll be really happy. So church weddings are great if the bride and groom are already practicing members of the same church. The base rental cost is usually very low. It can be very hard to get permission to get your wedding in most churches unless you're a member, however. They're not equipped with wedding decorations. They may be the wrong size, the wrong style. You may go to a church that's not very pretty. It may be a beautiful congregation of people that makes that church, but it's on the side of a strip mall or something. So come to a place that's more beautiful if you'd like to do that. The nice thing about a non-denominational chapel like Foothills Chapel is that it's neutral territory. If your families come from different faiths and different backgrounds, each person has an equal say, and both families can be made to feel welcome. There will still be that religious or spiritual quality, beautiful settings with a traditional feel, great photographs, opportunities like that. The architecture of a building itself, like a church building, lends itself to the specialness of the event in a very special way as well. Wedding chapels are popular though, so be sure you book them well in advance because that's important. If you love the great outdoors, you may not want to be in a chapel at all, but we'll be talking about that next. You can also have both your wedding and your reception at a reception hall or a hotel room or something like that. If you're wanting a non-religious ceremony or a civil ceremony, that may be just the key for you as well, if you don't want any religious accoutrements around you at the time or spiritual quality to your wedding. Be careful about a couple things. For one, sometimes you think you're saving money, but they can charge you hundreds of dollars extra for having your ceremony at the reception site. So first of all, find out what the extra charge is for that. And secondly, make sure that the facility itself, where the wedding ceremony will take place, is beautiful and is kind of in alignment with your dreams and how you wanted your ceremony to look. Remember that hotels are often usually designed to serve corporate as well as personal things. And so some of them are not really that pretty when it comes to having a reception or actually a wedding ceremony at that site. You just have these business type chairs that you're sitting in, and that's kind of it. Again, don't let yourself be set up in the corner of a hall. That's very, very important. The ceremony site can be noisy. I perform weddings in hotels where I'm out in the main lobby area and I perform a wedding. I have to scream over all the people that are signing in at the front desk and that sort of thing. So be sure that you don't have patrons checking in and checking out right there. Formal photographs certainly look more impressive in a chapel like Foothills Chapel, there's no doubt about that. family members who are used to church weddings might be uncomfortable with the thought of a hotel wedding or something like that too. And when you're shown where your wedding ceremony would be sure that you ask yourself again, is this the kind of place I've always dreamed of to have? Another place, we all love the great outdoors here in Colorado. It's wonderful, and I have even climbed 14ers to perform weddings at the top of them. I've been in hot air balloons and all kinds of great outdoor locations. I have also had sleet, I've had hail, I've had rainstorms, I've been interrupted by tornadoes. We have really had some problems with the Colorado outdoors because just like that, the weather can change. So you have to have a backup of some place that's covered, or a park just will not work. And by the way, just a cover on the top of you, it could be cold and windy and you may not get the kind of protection that you were hoping to do. Be sure that you have a permit and make sure it guarantees you the space in the park. But even with a permit, there's no controlling dogs, playing frisbee. Generally, people do respect spaces in parks. Usually, I don't have much problem with that, but be aware that you have to be a little flexible by that. And again, parks can be very noisy with barking dogs and honking horns from cars and motorcycles driving by and that kind of thing. You can enjoy more isolation up in the mountains, but be aware that some of your guests might get altitude sickness, and be very, very aware of the dangers of that. We may be used to it, but when you're up at 10,000 to 13,000 feet, and yes, I performed weddings, well, once at 13,000 feet, at Summit Lake, you just drive right up there, and a lot of people have a crisis up there, so be very aware of that kind of potential problem. If you're hoping to save money by having an outdoor wedding, that can be an unpleasant surprise too. If it's a potluck at a park, that's one thing, but you know, most people rent and buy equipment to make their outdoor wedding look really nice, and that can be a real problem. Homes and backyards have a very similar problem. The cost gets really high, and you have to watch out for the fact that whoever's house it is going to have to get some major cleaning work done afterwards. Don't put it all on them, or they might not be so happy with you. But just to give you an idea of sample costs for an outdoor wedding in your backyard or something, a tent, $500 to $2,100, a large barbecue grill, $70, cooking pots, $15 a piece, coffee pots, $30, archway, $38, candles, $30. It just goes on, and it adds up to thousands of dollars. And be aware of the fact that this is something that oftentimes happens. So go back to the original question. Where do you want your wedding? What is the place for the wedding ceremony that best fulfills your needs and that is in most alignment with your dreams? Thanks for watching, and I hope your wedding is the wedding of your dreams.